And so let's see, as we continue going over this final report and data update plan for the project, what else? Oh, same, oh, maybe I have this in here twice. No, how you will pay for it, yeah. So identifying the source for the money, just whether it'll be part of the regular budget, or I suppose the other possibility is that it could be using appraisal funds or a portion of the appraisal funds on a regular basis. And then lessons learned. That's the final thing in that final report. You can see that the kind of progress report that comes before the final report, if you're going to do others, or you would just add this as well, do this as well in your final report. Just has to do with what activity was done during the reporting period, describing any of the in-kind activity that you want to get credit for in the financial accounting. This is just the description part of it. And then just list invoices that you're going to attach to just sort of back up what you say happened during that time period if you have invoices. And then if this isn't the final report, then it would be any activity planned for the next couple of months. All right, so those are it's fairly straightforward. It's not a big complicated thing. And then I just wanted to show an example from, PDF, from Eden. Tracy turned in this, and I thought it did a good job of covering everything, so I just wanted to point it out as an example. She chose, you don't necessarily have to do this, but she chose to list each thing separately by date. You don't have to identify the exact date that everything happened, but this was nice. It was helpful for me, and so it just kind of goes through the time frame. She also included stuff that happened really before the technical start of the grant period, before the date that the grant that the contract identifies as the grant period, which is fine, but I do want to be clear that stuff that happens before the date identified as the beginning of the project on the contract won't be either reimbursed or counted as in-kind activity. So you asked me, do you want copies of my timesheets that would indicate the time spent? Yes, that would be helpful. Basically, for something like this where it's a federal grant, any supporting documents are really helpful. So better more than less, just because that way if there's ever an audit or a question of what happened during this grant, we have all the paperwork we need to support everything that's in there. So yeah, I would say timesheets would be great. And then, as you can see, this talks about what both they did as town people. David Peatman, they have a slightly complicated situation in that there's a surveyor who's sort of subcontracting with the mapping contractor. So she mentions what he worked on, and then what CAI worked on, and then what else? And then she moved into talking about what the in-kind activity was. Identification problems, there weren't any for them, obviously. If you could identify our little match mix-up as a problem if you want, but if there's any other issues that came up that were surprises, you could include those. And as you can see, she just lists the invoices here and then a little paragraph about what's coming in August and September. So, and then her attachments are on her. I think she scanned everything in. So that's the example. Do you have any other questions about what to include in the report? Again, it's kind of like as much detail as you're willing to give is great. You don't have to go into moment-by-moment detail, but you know, a little bit more tends to be helpful to me more than too much generalization and broad description. All right, so that's that. You can, if you think of a question later, feel free to send it over and we can go back to that. But I will move on to the financial form. So I think I sent you a oh, Tara's here now. Hi, Tara. I'm going to unmute you just to see if I can hear you. So Tara, do you have a way to talk to me? Do you have a mic on your computer or anything? No, it looks like no. I just want to confirm that you can hear me, Tara. So if you can click on the button that looks like an orange hand with a little arrow on it, that lets me know. Yeah, great, thank you. That way I know you can hear me because that shows up on my screen. And I can go back to the report in a minute if you'd like. But we'll just talk about the reimbursement form here for a second. So as you can see, the first thing is the type of payment requested. Yours are all reimbursements, so that's sort of automatically there and checked. And the other two boxes are just to indicate whether this is a partial payment, meaning we're just in the middle of the grant and you're asking for a reimbursement for the portion that's been done so far, or whether this is the final request. And so you would just click one of those. You would indicate whether the basis of the request is on a cash basis or accrual basis, number 2. Number 3, you don't have to worry about, that's just identifying Northern Border Region. Award name and number, that would be whatever appears at the top of your contract. So you can just get that from there. If this is a partial payment request, the number for this request. So, you know, your first one is 1, your second one is 2, your third one is 3. So your employer identification number, that's the federal number. Recipient's account number or identifying number. I think that might be something that would be internal for you. If you would like this to be associated with an internal account number for your own accounting purposes, you can indicate that here. Period covered by the request, obviously that's, you know, so anything that you're requesting has to fall within this period, obviously. And I will point out again that in order to request reimbursement for stuff that happens in a particular period, that period has to be completely within the period that is identified on the contract as well. So we want to make sure that that starting date on the contract is right. So Tara, in your case, since we don't have that yet, I want to make, I have a feeling I'm going to have to go back and fix this for a few times, but we'll see. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that starting date on that contract, we're not going to pay for anything that happens before that. So, but we can set that date to whatever we want as long as we all agree on it. So if we need to push the date back, we just need to do an amendment to the contract. So, but this right here just refers to the period covered by this particular request, beginning and end. So recipient organization and payee, the reason these are both here is just in case payee is different from recipient organization. If it's not different, you don't have to worry about the payee part. Just fill out the recipient organization with your physical address info. And actually, I guess that would be maybe the difference if your physical address is different from where you want the check sent. You put that in there. Just see. Oh, and Tara, the other thing I want to point out is just in case you haven't noticed it, you can send me a question by typing it into the box in your panel that says questions. If you just sort of open that up by clicking on the plus sign, you'll see that there's a place for you to type stuff in. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type something in there. And actually, if you could type something in there and send it to me, yes, okay, great. That way I know that you've seen it and you know how to use it. All right. So computation of amount of reimbursements requested. There are 3 columns here for your convenience. If you want to break things out into, in this case, up to 3 categories, you can do that. You don't have to. So just know that these are not 3 preset categories. This is not because you have to break things into 3 categories. This is just if you would like to and if this is helpful to you. Eve included these 3 columns. So program outlays this period including match. So that means the total amount, the total cost of whatever happened during this period. You would identify there. Non-federal share of amount, that's just the match. Oops, sorry, we go here. And then the federal share, so this is going to be automatically calculated. It's going to be whatever the total you've described is minus what you're saying the match is. That's going to calculate out to what you're actually requesting from us in cash on this line. So that's going to automatically calculate. The next section has to do with if you end up making more than one request for reimbursement, we will see, we'll be able to see the cumulative stuff here. So if, you know, in the past you had already requested and gotten $1,000, you plug that in here. That then will automatically get added to whatever you've requested here, and that will automatically get calculated as the total that you've requested so far in the past plus today. And then we get down into the match section. So, so this is going to automatically fill in what you put here, which is what you're saying the match is for this reporting period. And then you're going to plug in any match that you've reported on a previous reimbursement request, and then it'll automatically add those together and calculate what that total is. And I think that's it. When Eve first showed me this form, I found it very confusing, and when she actually demonstrated it at the other webinar, I realized it's not really that complicated. So I decided I could do it myself. I think there's multiple columns make it look like it's a little more than it is. All right, so is there anything on this form that either isn't clear or that I don't seem to have addressed, but that you feel you want to understand better? I think it's fairly simple, although you just have to break things out a little bit into the match and the non-match, and then understand that she's trying to get the cumulative stuff on here as well, so that each form reflects both what's being requested for this period and anything that's come before added on to that, so we have the cumulative. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about this. I don't think there is. So the final part of this reimbursement request would be your invoice. So now I'm just going to go to the invoice instructions that I think I also sent out to everybody. And let me know if I didn't send you this. So in addition to that form, that Excel spreadsheet form, you're going to actually create an invoice on your town stationery and just list out on there what it is you're requesting and what invoices have, or what it is that you're requesting. So and what you're sort of accounting for at that point, which is, we've received these invoices from the contractor, from the mapping contractor. We've also done this much in-kind work, and Sue Best from Derby is on here, as well as Tara Morse from Jay. I'm sorry I didn't point that out a little bit earlier. But Sue asked earlier if I wanted her to send along timesheets that show her time spent on it for the in-kind match part, and I said yes, because basically any supporting documentation is useful to us, copies of things, so that if we ever have to go back and because we're getting audited, or if the federal people that are giving us the grant question anything about this, we have documentation for everything. So so on your invoice that you write up, you could sort of list out what it is you're including for in-kind, for match, actually match both in terms of cash that you've paid and that will count as match that you've paid to the contractor, as well as any in-kind activity and hours and how you calculated them. And then basically any other document that supports something that's a part of this request, whether it's match or requesting the reimbursement, receipts, the invoices from the mapping contractor, anything else. I think, Sue, you might have mentioned that you actually traveled to deliver materials to the contractor. So things like your mileage, keeping track of your mileage and showing that would be another aspect of documentation for in-kind match. All right, so this pretty much lists out what you need to include on this. So hopefully what the parcel mapping contractor sends you should include some detail so that when you attach those invoices, it'll reflect some of this: dates worked, hours worked, what they did, who did it, and any receipts for anything beyond labor. Obviously, whatever they provide you is what they provide you. If for some reason what you're getting really doesn't have any of this, you might have to go back to them and ask them for a little more detail. I'm not sure if any of the contractors wouldn't provide that level of detail, but hopefully they will. Something close. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions. Nope. All right. Let me go back briefly to the report then, just so that Tara can see it. So this is the report template that I sent you. I realized that I also needed to create this, which is slightly different. This is the final report, and it has these 7 questions that we realize are sort of additional information that we want to get from everyone when they're finishing up the project or when they're finished with the project. So I will send this out to you as well. I don't think I've sent you this yet. But it's mostly about, so what was the final product? So many parcels, meeting the standard. What do you believe the value to your town is going to be? What is your plan? And this is one of the things that towards the end of the project, either the RPC, GIS person, or I, or both, will get together with you to come up with a plan for update. But basically how frequently you plan to update, who will do the updating, whether it's going to be your contractor or the listers or a different contractor that you plan to choose, how much it will cost to do your update on whatever periodic basis you're planning to do it, and then how you plan to pay for it, whether it just gets included in the town budget as a new line item, or it's just part of the lister's budget, or whether you plan to use some appraisal funds to help pay with that, whatever you've figured out. And then obviously any lessons learned from the whole project, other than what a pain it is to get a grant. That might be a lesson learned, but I'm not. Hopefully not all of you will. Just say that. And then, yeah, so those are, oh, and then I was going to show you Eden sent in their report, and I just thought it was a pretty good example. So Tracy listed out, and you don't have to include every single activity with the exact date that it happened in this report. You can if you want to. It's, it's, for me, it's always nice to get more information, but even if she had just listed out that these things happened in this order, that would have been fine as well. So she lists out the different activities that have taken place since January. And like I said, the date of your contract is going to determine which of these activities actually can get included as in kind. So, and then down in the in kind, she's got that broken out a little bit, that after the grant certain things happened. And that'll sort of match up with the invoice. And there's a problems encountered section, but she doesn't have any problems. And she just lists what other documents are attached to this, which is the RFP and some invoices. And then planned activity for the next period is just, these are the things they've heard from the contractor are going to happen. This is what the listers are planning to do, and other people involved in the project and what they're doing. So it's fairly simple. It doesn't have to be a huge document. And I think that's pretty much all I've got. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send them to me. And obviously you can send me an email at any time with questions. I just was hoping to present this and also record this so that I can do as many people at once or share this with others later as well. Do I have Eden's document available for reference? That is a good idea. I will check with Tracy to make sure she's okay with it. I don't know why she wouldn't be, because I did ask her if I could use this as an example. What I will probably do is post it, and I was actually thinking of posting some other things. So on our website, we actually have in the projects and initiatives, so it's about VCGI, and I'll send you this link, but about VCGI, projects and initiatives, you will see the Northern Vermont Parcel Data Project listed here, and here it has its own little page. And what I can do is post that on this page so that everybody can see it. And maybe what I'll do is, if this recording of this webinar works, I will also post this and any of the other template documents and the guidelines for doing the invoicing. And I'll just post all of that up, either probably more towards the bottom of the page below this listing of who's participating. Anything else that you can think of? Okay. Well, like I said, you both have my email and phone number, so you can always email or call if you do have any other questions. And I will post as much of this as seems like it would be helpful, including Eden's PDF example on this website, and I'll do it in the next half hour because I'm just going to do it now. I don't have anything else to do right at the moment. So I will post that stuff, and hopefully this recording will work, and I'll post this as well. So thank you very much, you guys, for signing on, and truly let me know if you have any questions. Appreciate the work that you're doing on this project. So, all right, everybody have a great day.